So for today's lesson, we're going to be graphing logs. And I'm going to show you guys first what a basic log graph looks like. So if we have f of x equals log base 2 of x, remember what we're really asking you is what power of 2 is equal to my thing in the parentheses. Okay? So when we ask ourselves who is 1, you would tell me 0, and that's because 2 to the 0 equals 1. If I ask you what power of 2 is 2, you would tell me 1. What power of 2 is 4? That's 2. What power of 2 is 8? That's 3. What power of 2 is 1/2? That's -1. This is going to be -2, and then -3. Now I'm going to use this table to plot my points. So I have 1, 0. I have 2, 1. I have 4, 2. And then these points, oh, and I also have 8, 3. Oops. Now these points are somewhere between 0 and 1. So something like this: 1/2, -1, 1/4, -2, my 1/8. And what you're going to notice is this graph is going to get really close to the y-axis, but it's not actually going to touch. And that should make sense because you remember here when we did our investigation on Monday, we couldn't take the log of negative numbers. Okay? We also can't take the log of 0. Remember, we drew our sad face. Those were ones that we just couldn't get answers for. So when we have a graph like this, you're going to notice that it's very similar to the behavior of an exponential graph, but instead of approaching the x-axis, this one is approaching the y. So our asymptote is going to be here on top of the y-axis. So we have an asymptote here at x equals 0. Remember, when I have a line that's standing up straight, a vertical line, it's an x equals something. So now we're going to just answer our investigative questions here. So the first question asks us what the x-intercept is. This x-intercept is at 1. So our x-intercept, and I'm just going to write it on the side. You guys have space below, but my screen doesn't want to scroll down for me. So my x-intercept is at 1. I don't have a y-intercept. I have an asymptote on top of the y-axis, so I can't also hit the y-axis. So my asymptote is at x equals 0. Question 4 asks, what happens as my x goes to positive infinity? So as we look at this graph, as x gets bigger and bigger, y is also going to positive infinity. So as x goes to positive infinity, y goes to positive infinity. Question number 5 asks us to describe the behavior as x approaches 0. So as x gets closer to 0, we need to look at what's happening to this graph. Well, if I follow this and I get closer and closer to 0, I never touch, but you see here my graph is pointing down, right? We have an arrow here. So that means that as I approach 0 for x, y is going towards negative infinity. And then the last thing they ask about are domain and range. So my domain here, remember that's my x values, is going to go from 0 to infinity. Now I'm using the soft bracket here, the parenthesis, because I'm not actually including 0. There's an asymptote there. So I have a parenthesis for that. My range is going to be all real numbers. I reach negative infinity this way, I reach positive infinity that way. So I'm going to go negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay, so at this point, you have your whole front page of the worksheet filled out. The next thing you're going to do is you can work with one other person, and on the back we have a link. So I'm going to erase this now. And on our link, when you go to this link here, it asks for a code, and you guys are going to use this code. Let's see if it will let me highlight copy. And you're going to use that code. Of course, for some reason, it's pasting my code as Andrea. Let's see if that works. That's not going to work. So let's see, what was that code? WFP. Okay. WFPBAM. We're going to click join. And you're going to put your name in. If you're working with a partner, you can put both your names in, or if you guys want to work individually, that's fine. You're going to click go, and the activity will load. And here, you're going to follow the directions. If it says first page, you're in the first page of the document. See, this is 1, 2. As you complete and answer the questions, there's a part that says second page. That means you're going to the second page of the document. Okay, a couple of things that I just want to point out to you guys. It says on the first page, they want you to move the slider labeled B and make some observations. So you guys see here's B, and this is a slider. So when you move the slider around, different things are going to happen to the graph. So for the remainder of the period, you're going to finish up this activity that's an exploration. You can work with one other person if you like. Once you're done, you'll make your conclusions together, and then you'll be able to receive our homework sheet. And you can work on your homework sheet with your partner. We are going to compare answers tomorrow to make sure that everybody's on the same page about this, and I will see you guys on Thursday.